His top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
I'm Rhiannon Jones, your top stories from the GB newsroom. Irish Premier Michael Martin has said it's a very sad day for Chrysler following an explosion at a petrol station. The Taoiseach visited the scene in County Donegal along with other Irish political leaders earlier this evening. 10 people were killed in yesterday's blast, including 2 teenagers and a young schoolgirl. Police in Ireland say the search operation has now ended, but they will continue with their investigation. Former Deputy Leader of the DUP, Lord Nigel Dodds, has called the incident horrendous.
Every one of us can relate to calling into a filling station or wanting to call in and get some groceries or a snack or something, and to be caught up in something like this is just horrendous. And when you hear those who've died include men, women, teenagers, a young child, it really is awful. Our hearts and prayers are with the bereaved of those who have lost their lives, and obviously hope and pray that those that have been injured make a swift recovery.
The former Trade Minister has said he's looking forward to clearing his name following allegations of inappropriate behaviour. Conor Burns was sacked from the government after a complaint of serious misconduct last week. He's reiterated he will cooperate fully with the investigation and that he's committed to public services.
The last 24 hours have been distressing and devastating. I've still not had any information from the party of the nature of the complaint. I say, as I said in my statement, that I will cooperate fully with the party when they engage with me, and I look forward to clearing my name. I can't say anything more, I'm sorry, at this time.
Serial killer Peter Tobin has died at the age of 76 after becoming unwell in prison. He was taken to hospital from HMP Edinburgh, where he was serving 3 life sentences for the rape and murder of Polish student Angelika Kluk and the murders of teenagers Vicky Hamilton and Dinah McNichol in 1991. Detectives questioned Tobin on his deathbed about other murders they believe he may have committed, but he refused to give any details. A large explosion has seriously damaged the only road and rail bridge linking the occupied Crimean Peninsula to Russia. Russian authorities say 3 people died in the blast on the Kerch Bridge, which is crucial to supplying the peninsula and Russian forces across Ukraine. Moscow says the train line has now reopened. It's not yet clear if it was a deliberate attack by Ukraine. And only around 1 in 5 trains have been running today across Scotland, England and Wales. Members of the RMT union are staging their 8th strike this year in a long-running dispute over pay and conditions. Tomorrow, around half of the UK railway network will be closed, and those trains that are running will only operate from 7:30 in the morning until 6:30 in the evening. TV online and DAB Plus radio, this is GB News. We'll have more at the top of the hour. See you then. Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK's looking dry and clear in the southeast at first on Sunday, but cloudier and windy further northwest. Let's take a look at the details. East and northeast Scotland will have some clear intervals to start the day, but further west it'll be cloudy and very windy with rain just beginning to arrive from the Atlantic. Northern Ireland will still be dry at this point, although here there'll be a lot of cloud around and a strengthening southerly wind. Cumbria will be fairly cloudy, but elsewhere across the north of England it'll be fine with clear spells, albeit pretty breezy. Patchy cloud and a brisk southerly breeze will affect North Wales. However, it'll be a dry start across the country with some bright spells, and the wind will prevent temperatures dipping too low. Across the Midlands, there'll be some more prolonged clear periods to start the day on Sunday, and as the wind will be a little bit lighter, patches of mist and localised frost are possible. Clear skies and light winds will be the order of the day for East Anglia, but here too the lack of cloud means it'll be a nippy start for many. These clear, fairly calm but rather chilly conditions will also be prevalent across southern counties of England, all courtesy of high pressure sitting nearby maintaining the settled weather. Through Sunday morning, England and Wales will be dry and bright, but wet and windy weather will sweep into much of the northwest. And that's how the weather's shaping up during tomorrow morning.
Welcome to Ministry of Offence, the show that brings the two sides of the political divide together in order to confirm that, yes, the other side really are terrible, terrible people. I'm your host, Stephen Allen, and I'm going to start with a quick recap of the news you might have missed this week. The Mail on Sunday printed claims that Angela Rayner uncrosses and crosses her legs to distract Boris Johnson in the Commons. Boris isn't going to be put off by that. The best way to throw him off his stride is to waive a paternity test. If Boris could be aroused at work just by women's legs, then it stands to reason he would have made endless policy decisions that illustrated blood being diverted from the brain, like granting PPE contracts to his mates or ignoring his own rules on lockdown. All right, forget that. Elon Musk says if he succeeds in buying Twitter, he'll allow Donald Trump back on. That'll be good news for both free speech and anyone newly on antipsychotic meds who's missing the voices in their heads. In a historic moment, Prince Charles opened Parliament this week. Charles looked pleased to have made the speech, as well he might. If the coin toss had come down the other way, it could have been barked at us by Bisto the Corgi. The government has announced plans to cut 91,000 civil servant jobs. Jacob Rees-Mogg is in charge, but for him, a civil servant is any butler that doesn't flick the V's the moment his back's turned. Lib Dem leader Ed Davey said, "This really doesn't matter, does it? Let's just skip past this bit." Chancellor Rishi Sunak announced a windfall tax. He was worried he might seem out of touch when it came to the domestic energy crisis, and it's certainly true. It is easier to warm a home when it's a second one and it's in Tuscany. The Queen visited the Chelsea Flower Show in a souped-up golf buggy. For security reasons, its maximum speed was increased from the usual 4 miles an hour to one based on how fast Nicholas Witchell can run with a semi. Boris Johnson has survived a vote of no confidence. However, many believe it's only a matter of time before he announces he's leaving the job to spend more time with his families. It's a result that made even Boris question the judgment of his two usual advisors, his left testicle and his right testicle. Ironic that he should look so haunted after these years of him putting the willies up. Actually, we're better than that joke. The European Court is threatening to stop any more of these Rwanda flights taking off by forcing Priti Patel to give the contract to EasyJet. If anything, this will make them feel more like British citizens, as they too have now had a flight cancelled at short notice. This week, after Prince Charles accepted €3 million cash from a Qatari politician, he's promised it will never happen again. The Prince is now accepting chip and pin. Was this Qatari guy after a knighthood from the Queen? I'd say no. He's a leader in the Emirates. The only way he'd kneel in front of a woman would be to retrieve a stone that fell a bit short. This week, Boris Johnson reconfirmed that there is a difference between being a woman and a trans woman. According to him, only women can have their partners get jobs for them. So who on earth will be our next Prime Minister? There's only one thing we know for sure. It won't be Keir Starmer. Boris has repeatedly said he cares about the country and his party, but he clearly doesn't give a monkey's about topical monologue writers. This show is pre-recorded, so we thought we would cover all bases in our intro and edit out the ones we don't need. So, we'd like to say congratulations to our new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, Ben Wallace, Dominic Raab, Sajid Javid, Nadine Go on. I'll do that one with a straight face. Liz Truss launched her campaign to become Prime Minister by not being able to find her way out of the room after her speech. Mind you, Boris doesn't seem to be able to find the door even when he's shown it. Leaked confidential emails from Uber have revealed the extent of their ruthless business practices. The Uber leaks came as quite a surprise, as they were actually expected 2 weeks ago, then 1 week ago, then any moment, and then suddenly 5 weeks ago. Uber faced hostility from rivals on both sides. Black cabbies were worried they were stealing their fares, and minicab drivers were worried they were stealing their sexual assault victims. The Women's Euros are still taking place, and I must say, I'm looking forward to the semis. And if they win, I might get fully erect. It's been confirmed that the UK will host the Eurovision Song Contest next year in place of war-torn Ukraine. I don't know the lengths some countries will go to get out of it. We normally just submit a crap song. The cities are jostling to put it on, among them Glasgow, though there are worries that for any Ukrainians attending, it could be a traumatic reminder of the destruction of Mariupol. The school holidays have started and it's been chaos at the port of Dover. Hundreds of people had to wait half a day outside the ferry terminal. The only way to get abroad these days is to get a lift back with the people traffickers. MP John Redwood suggests we should boycott France. I'm already doing it. I no longer eat French fries or kiss with my mouth open, and I'll only watch Jennifer Saunders on her own. The Tory leadership race rumbles on. During the TV debate, Liz Truss showed her awesome powers by actually boring the host unconscious. It was no laughing matter for host Kate McCann. This is the worst thing that's happened to her since that holiday in Portugal. Yes, the nation is nearing a drought, with parts of the southeast already drier than Carrie's Foof now that Boris Johnson is no longer PM. It's not just ministers' smartphones that may have been turned into recording devices. Apparently there was even an attempt to swap Jacob Rees-Mogg's carrier pigeon for a parrot. Luckily, Boris has an extra layer of password security. He's based them on the dates of his kids' birthdays, so hackers could never possibly access enough processing power to work out all the options. Keir Starmer has vowed to resign if police find him guilty of breaking the law over COVID restrictions. If Keir does stand down, it might take a while for Labour to find an equally effective and charismatic replacement, as there's a backlog at Madame Tussauds. It's the end of the iPod, the product that built on the success of its forerunner, the iPatch, which did almost as much for promoting piracy. Each week, the teams pick a viral video, a meme, or a tweet that's caught their eye. It could be political, or just something that they find weird or amusing. I will decide which one is most point-worthy. Moving on to the next video, can you work out what's going on here?
من أنت؟ ومن أين جئت؟
أنا نحول.
ومن نحول؟
أنا نحول من فرفور.
وماذا تريد؟
أريد أن أواصل مشوار ابن عمي فرفور.
It's suicide prevention for bees. That is a suicidal bee. It's tried to hang itself. She's trying to talk it down. Bees are notoriously depressive because they sting you once and they die.
So they just die because they can't handle the guilt?
That's what it is. Bees are Catholic.
Well, let's take a look.
Nahul, the bee, started appearing on screen 2 weeks ago after his controversial predecessor Farfur was taken off air. Farfur, who bore an uncanny resemblance to Mickey Mouse, had stirred controversy for preaching armed resistance against the Israeli occupation. But in what was to be his final episode, Farfur was killed off by an Israeli character.
Yep. Unbelievably, this is a Gazan propaganda kids show. Those Disney copyright lawyers don't mess about, do they? Leo, what have you got for us this week?
I've got a video of Kim Kardashian getting paid loads of money to try and sell us food.
Right, let's take a look.
I believe so much in the mission of Beyond Meat that I've stepped in to help with my greatest asset, my taste. This plant-based meat is not only amazingly delicious, but it's also better for you and better for the planet.
It's interesting to see Kim Kardashian try and sell us on stuff that isn't real meat, because most of her body isn't real meat either. Although I would probably eat it, which I wouldn't do with vegan food. Vegetables are so great. Why are they always trying to make them look like burgers and steak and stuff like that? Nobody ever gets like a bit of filet mignon and tries to make it look and taste like broccoli. Vegan food isn't real food. It's the food you put on your plate next to your real food and then you scrape into the bin after you've eaten your real food.
I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
Well, I'm Leo Kears. My pronouns are massive knobhead, and I'm sitting at a strange plinth wearing a shirt from Primark. So you used to be in a meeting, you just used your name. You said, you know, I'm Leo. You might say what department you're from or whatever. Kamala doesn't need to do that because she's like, everybody knows she's like the vice president, which basically is the president. Now that our president is a dead man held up with string. Instead of that, you know, now it's pronouns. You got to say what pronouns you're using, as if like pronouns are only ever used when you're not there. So it's only going to be useful if you leave the meeting. And if it's an important meeting, you should stay in it until it's over. So now you've got to describe what you're wearing, you know, what you look like, what you're sitting at, and it's like, what is the point? Somebody said it's for blind people, but a blind person isn't going to know what the colour blue is.
Yes, our first round is clickbait, where we give each of our guests a news story and task them to come up with a headline in true tabloid style. These headlines need to be punny, funny, or downright sensational. Basically anything that's going to draw you in as clickbait. OK, let's start with the left this week. Diane, I'm coming to you first with this story. A £500 pet pig has saved the life of his US Navy veteran owner after his home caught ablaze. Gilbert Anea said his pig Hamilton, who is trained to open and close doors, gave him extra time to escape his burning home by shutting the garage door as he fled. What can you do with that?
Body positive pig brings out hot semen. Thank you. Thank you.
What about just pigs might fry? Right? Yeah, it's good. Or pigs might not fry, since he didn't in this particular case.
South Korea has criminalised the sending of balloons stuffed with anti-Pyongyang propaganda into North Korea, ending a practice that's gone on for decades. The balloons often fail to make it over the border and end up causing pollution inside South Korea, while Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, has called balloon senders human scum.
How about soulless balloons banned from North Korea, but it's Seoul like the word, like the capital city Seoul? Yeah? Yeah, sort of, you go, oh, not funny, but sort of clever. Yeah, that's where I like to work, in that area. I could just be an actual newspaper writer. That's my problem. I'm too good.
That would be a career change.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of after
career
this.
Change.
Oh, career? Yes. Oh, I got it. I didn't even get that. I was like, yeah, I should change career.
That's quite a sweet way to wage a war. Like, that's how the Care Bears would fight.
Here's your story. A new app to identify mysterious cheeses has hit the market. Shazam was inspired by the popular music-finding app Shazam. It compares users' snaps against its database of 9,000 images and looks to identify key features, including the size and shape of mould. Shazam is currently only available in France, and it's unclear when or if it will roll out to the cheese lovers worldwide. Eric, any thoughts?
I mean, it's the most French app ever. I mean, I would imagine whenever you use it, you have to shrug and go at the same time. The fact that it's only available in France seems a bit strange to me because, I mean, why would the French even need to use it? Because they must know their cheeses. I mean, we wouldn't really need it in England, would we? I mean, you would take your cheese, you take your app, and you'd look at it and go, oh, cheddar. Next cheese, pick it up, look at it and go, oh, cheddar. Pick it up and go, what I'm trying to say is you have a lot of cheddar. You wouldn't need it in...
You guys squeeze your cheese out of a can, so we'll not take any insults from you about the quality and variety of our cheeses. Yeah. Your cheese is a synthetic insult to an ancient tradition.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. In America, you wouldn't need it because you would just look at the ingredients on the can, and it would just say, whiz. You gotta get this app. It's mental. Damn, this is a good app.
Because this app will let you recognise any cheese. You could say, with this app, nothing gets past your eyes. Because it's in France where they don't pasteurize their cheese. But also, it's pointless. Have you ever been in a shop that sells cheese and been like, oh, I wonder what this cheese is? There's no label on it. Oh.
I would imagine it's when you come across a cheese in the wild, isn't it? Probably.
Foraging.
You're not quite sure whether it's an edible cheese. You're out foraging for cheese.
Russian telegram channel General SVR has claimed Putin found out his mistress is yet again pregnant, and by the looks of it, this wasn't planned. Any thoughts on that one?
got to be Vlad the Impaler, isn't it? Gremlins, little gremlins, something like that. Oh, KGBs. There you go.
Any other thoughts over here?
Well, we've seen from the last few weeks that he never knows when to pull out.
Tom Cruise made a dramatic appearance at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations before admitting to the astonishment of presenter Philip Schofield that he'd walked through Windsor to get to the event. How do you sell that story?
What about, that's an impressive rain, ma'am.
Nice.
But it's rain spelled R-E-I-G-N, like the Queen type of rain, not...
I think if anyone didn't get that joke, they didn't deserve to get that joke. A hungry seagull from Paynton, Devon, was filmed shoplifting mini cheddars yet again this week. Stephen Seagull, as he's been dubbed by locals, is believed to have stolen over £300 worth of food from Tesco. Let's remind ourselves of this little guy in action. It'd be great if there were sound effects like...
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
A seagull's gone into a shop and it's stolen, now it's trying to eat the packet whole. Oh no, he's breaking it. Oh, he's broken it open. That's quicker than I can do it.
That video specifically, what I love about it is that seagulls can fly, but that guy is cocky enough to do this entirely on feet. He's sort of going, I could have flown in there, grabbed Chris and flown out again, but watch this. Nobody can stop me. I'm a bloody seagull. But I've got various ideas for this. Big girls don't buy. Gulls on film. Gulls just want to have fun. But my biggest issue with the pun here is Steven Seagull. Every seagull in a story always ends up being called Steven Seagull. And as a Stephen, and as a Steve as yourself, I feel our name has been massively appropriated for the seagull community. So I would like to give him a name specific to this, and I'm calling him Chris de Bird.
A heartbroken couple who buried the remains of their beloved cat Lucky after he was hit by a car was shocked when the cat turned up alive and well. The distraught couple buried the moggy, but the next day, when the actual cat walked through the front door and tucked into its breakfast, they'd realised they'd buried someone else's cat. What can you do with that?
Look what the cat dragged in. Itself.
That's funny.
Did you say that's funny?
Yeah.
Nick, you could just laugh, mate.
I can't.
don't have to say that's funny, but thank you.
I've done comedy for 11 years. I'm dead inside.
That's funny.
But I'll just say...
OK, cool, all right.
NHS doctors want to be able to work from home. Hospital consultants, who were forced to shield during the pandemic, say it proved they can safely care for patients through a computer on wheels.
Dr. Doolittle. Because they're not doing very much.
Yep. So you saw the story. It's about doctors working from home, right? I've got Netflix and ill. Netflix and chill is a phrase. Everyone watches Netflix at home. It was a work from home thing, so Netflix and ill.
A vicious brawl between a man and a kangaroo has been caught on camera in Australia. The man is seen attempting to run away, only to fall over and receive a nasty stomping from the enraged roo.
I think that the guy was defending his dog, that the kangaroo was going after his dog. So I'm going to go for Pooch over Pouch.
Any more from over here?
You wallaby starting something?
840 kilograms of cocaine was found stashed in a shipment of bananas sent to 2 supermarkets in the Czech Republic.
I love the fact that there might be a drug mule somewhere stood in front of the cartel and he just hands them a normal banana. So I'm going to go with man detained at Gatwick with normal banana up his bottom.
Well, lovely stuff. Let's head back to the right. Let's remind ourselves of the story.
You do look at my brother in a particular way. I'm sure listeners have seen the memes.
Oh my God, I've had that
of you
so many times.
I've seen the adoring memes. Nadine, I've asked you what he saw in you.
I look at Keir Starmer in the same way, and no one ever does memes of that, do they?
Keir Starmer with her starey eyes.
She hasn't flashed her ginger growler. I suppose there's got to be, you know, it's a question of degree, isn't it, at this point?
I'm also thinking it's...
He is not talking about me. Let's just clear that out. I appreciate I sometimes do work as one of Angela Rayner's stunt doubles. She can't be expected.
Sorry, did you say stunt double? A mother has been slammed online after she installed pole dancing equipment in a child's room. A video of the mum practicing on the pole was shared, but quickly came under fire for dancing while the pole was erected in what looked like a child's bedroom with a cot in the background. And what headlines have you come up for this one?
Is it unfit mother is surprisingly fit?
Yeah.
How about Tots TV's got a bit raunchy, hasn't it?
About bring your kid to work day at Spearmint Rhino.
What about Very Blue Peter?
Too controversial for you.
Nice. Yeah, just a late night version. You know, where Richard Bacon takes drugs or something.
Again.
Listen with mother. She's having an orgasm.
Anyone?
I'm joking. Mums don't have orgasms. Certainly not the mother of my children.
I'd like to disagree with you there, Mark. When...
Your mother, on the other hand.
Are we actually doing your mum jokes? Is that the level of this show?
We've got a big barrel and we're not afraid to scrape it.
About your mum again.
Damn! Let's move on to the red team, and here's Diane's story. A Ukrainian bakery in Kyiv has named a meringue and ice cream topped pastry after Boris Johnson. The cafe owner said he's not just a prime minister now, but also a croissant. Popular BJ bun apparently sells out within hours. What's your thoughts on that one?
The thing about having the Boris bun, I suppose, is it's how to keep them, really. I suppose that they're best stored in the back pocket of a Tory donor. I'm going to go with doughy lump of crumbly fat has pastry named after him.
Josh?
Well, first of all, I'm not. It's called the BJ bun. That could be why it sold out. This actually is quite a nice story because at least the croissant version is going to stop people from going hungry.
Diane, I'm coming to you first with this story. Police launched an investigation after an 11-year-old boy was called Shorty and Leprechaun in the street. Wiltshire cops decided the episode was serious enough to be recorded as a non-crime hate incident.
I've got a sneaky feeling this boy was being bullied by people who weren't being very nice, and there were police nearby, and I think if the police did nothing in many ways, that would be worse. Maybe they could join in. Yeah, Tiny, yeah, you'll never become a firefighter. Join the police. Or something like that. But it is called bullying, which I'm pretty sure Leo considers a fundamental building block of our character.
Bullying is fantastic. And also, Shorty and Leprechaun, they're not even offensive names. Oh my God, at my school there was a kid with one arm shorter than the other, and we called him Clock.
Genuinely, I've got a nickname that I was given as a kid. It was clever bullying. So I had a pair of glasses with a couple of little enamelled Roland rats on either side of the arms. And my nickname at school for 2 years, and you'll like this, Leo, was Bubo, based on the bubonic plague because I was carrying rats with me everywhere I went.
Yeah. In my village growing up, there was a guy called Coupon, because his dad had won like about 5 shillings on the football pools in 1978 or something. So his dad was called Coupon. And then Coupon got handed on to his son, like a Scottish version of a hereditary peerage.
A family on a river walk near Catford in London was shocked when they stumbled upon a large cache of firearms and ammunition that had been dumped in the water. The stash found by a teenager included a revolver and an Uzi submachine gun, as well as bullets. Local police said, please be aware when letting your children play in the river. Thoughts on that?
It just goes to show how dangerous paddling can be in London. So if that is the case, I feel like the headline should be, it's not Catford anymore, it's Gatford.
Yeah! I like that one.
Street crime moves to stream crime. All right, now we're getting on a roll. Here we go. Family out paddling and managed to pick up a Magnum.
The other side of the story is robber holds up bank with trout.
Any thoughts over here?
I haven't got any. Isn't this just what Catford's like? Someone said to me, why is it news?
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if you didn't find some machine guns in a stream.
I mean, the surprising thing is that somebody decided to go paddling in a river in South London. I know what this family outing needs, some tetanus.
I believe it was found on a weekday, so the best headline couldn't be Uzi like a Sunday morning.
Weekday afternoons on GB News, we've got the whole of the UK covered. From 12 to 3, it's GB News Day with me, Mark Longhurst.
And me, Gloria Di Piero. You'll get the very latest on everything that's been going on across our great nation.
And from 3 till 6, watch out for GB News Live with me, Patrick Christys. I'm not here to mess around. With all the biggest topics and guests, you will always be up to date. GB News Day and GB News Live from 12 p.m.
Only on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and tune-in apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch.
You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
Hello, I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m, where I'll be joined by two of the country's top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News Headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
Welcome back to Ministry of Offence, with the news this week that Tory MP Danny Kruger claims women shouldn't have the right to bodily autonomy, ensuring Freddie isn't the worst Kruger giving women nightmares. In this round, each team has to take on the role of spin doctor and attempt to defend something indefensible. Who will you be spinning this week?
We will be defending the CEO of Disney.
Let's have a little reminder of this story. Protesters gathered outside Disney World in Florida unhappy with Disney's opposition to the controversial so-called Don't Say Gay law.
Disney has always been about celebrating different kinds of love. Even from the very beginning, you know, you have the very simple ones, you know, man loves woman in coma. Woman loves beast. Fish loves man. And now we've even moved on to snowball generating lesbian loves no one.
We were working, it was days before the election. We paused for something to eat. There was no party, no rules were broken. There's nothing I can add to that.
Spin away.
Look, it's important that we defend Keir Starmer because he's completely incapable of doing it himself, so we've got to do it for him. Now, can I just say, this is not a gate. You have your Watergate, you have your Partygate. This is not Beergate. This isn't a gate. It's barely a cat flap. The Tories had a social event. The Labour Party had a works meal at the end of a long day. And when you look at the food, it clearly shows you the kind of voters they're sort of appealing to, because the Tories had a party they shouldn't have had, which had champagne and cake and wine and cheese in Downing Street. And the Labour Party had work curry with beer, and they probably shared a bag of Haribo.
Well, it can't be a party. Any room with Keir Starmer in it, by definition, cannot be a party, right? If you look at the definition of the word party, it's any area without Keir Starmer.
Well, let's see if that spinning convinced anyone on the right.
Well, do you know what? They, like you say, Keir Starmer can't defend himself, so you have done a better job. He went on Good Morning Britain and he said, guys, we were on the road, like he's touring with Motley Crue. Do you know what I mean? Like, guys, you don't understand what happens on the road stays on the road. Like, yeah, we had one beer and some naan bread. Like, it's ridiculous.
But you know there's a difference between a social event organised as a social event and people having a snack at work, right?
There's no difference.
They had a chicken korma. That's like the blandest curry. It's barely a curry.
Where do you draw the line between, like...
Well, if they'd had a lamb biryani, that would have been reckless.
By the Queen's own command, the next will feature a slimmed-down cast, just working members of the family. So no invitation for the disgraced Prince Andrew and no place for the estranged Harry and Meghan.
I now defend Her Majesty's decision. One of them is an alleged sexual assaultist, and the other is an ungrateful, whining little who has embarrassed his family on global TV. I rest my case.
For legal reasons, which one's which? This week I've decided, Leo and your team, you're going to go first, and you will be defending the celebrities and royalty who have decided to publicly comment on the Rwanda immigration policy.
I like that celebrities give their opinions and get involved in politics, you know, because Bono isn't going to live forever. So we need people like Prince Charles to get involved. I think more of this. Do you remember when Little Mix apologised to Syria for the bombs? It was hilarious. They tweeted out saying, we'd just like to apologise. And you can imagine the people of Syria thinking, oh, well, that's all right then, you know. We've got these drones and laser-guided missiles, but at least this, you know, girl band with no discernible talent is on our side.
Syria's fine, but don't criticise Little Mix. You got to know where the public sympathies lie.
I think, you know, people mock celebrities for giving their views, but I think if I want a view on the war in Ukraine, I'm going to go to Chaka Khan or something, you know. I'm not.
Diane, your team will be spinning Labour leader Keir Starmer and the accusation that he's boring voters to death.
OK, so he wears the same navy blue jacket, white shirt and plum tie every single week. He's like a cartoon character. But he's predictable. Isn't that nice? Wouldn't it be nice if during this time when Russia has invaded Ukraine, something we never thought would happen, cost of living crisis, never thought would happen, coronavirus pandemic, never thought would happen, wouldn't it be amazing if we had just one boring, stable, solid, beige guy just trying to get us through it all?
He's been provoked into trying to seem interesting, which he's not. The tabloids want him to sort of mess up. Otherwise, they got nothing. What are they going to publish? Oh, Keir Starmer had sex with his wife, missionary position. Keir Starmer has a normal amount of children. Keir Starmer knows the names of his kids.
And it's time for our next round, Lie Detector. A former stripper is selling a pair of socks she claims Prince Harry gave her in Las Vegas on the infamous night he was pictured partying with no clothes on in 2012. She's auctioning them along with a dress and a swimsuit she wore at the time and hopes to raise $1 million.
Well, I know some people don't like Meghan Markle, but there's no reason to call her a stripper.
The lie is she wasn't a stripper, she was a prostitute. What type of stripper takes the client's clothes off? How does she have the socks of the person watching her strip? So yeah, prostitute.
Is it the Nazi uniform he was wearing when he used to be fun?
Fun! Anti-Semitism. Fun!
Oh, I think you'll find he wasn't actually an official member of the Nazi party. He was wearing it as a fancy dress costume, like sort of allo, or you know.
In like homage to his ancestors.
Yeah.
I can tell you the real answer then. It's that.
Oh, wait a minute. No,
Oh wait, I think I've got it. She's selling.
Is the answer just
she's selling
underpants?
underpants.
Comes into
She's selling underpants.
The answer comes into shop.
I looked.
I didn't look.
Yeah, but I did look. It's his underpants. She's selling.
The answer comes into view on the auto cue. You can't win the points.
I didn't look.
I did look.
I don't believe you. I can tell you that the answer is she's selling a pair of black undies she claims Prince Harry gave her in Las Vegas that infamous night. Rumour has it that he doesn't wear pants anymore. He goes commando, as that's the closest he can get to being in the army these days. Boris Johnson's former aide Cleo Watson says every time she took the Prime Minister's temperature during lockdown, he would immediately demand to be given a lollipop. Watson said she was more like his nanny than a Downing Street Deputy Chief of Staff. What's the line there?
How was he having his temperature taken? Because there's three options, isn't there? There's under the tongue, under the armpit, and up the bum. And if I know Boris, I know which option he'll have chosen, right?
How well do you know Boris?
Well, I've been taking his temperature for 20 years.
by surprise.
Cleo says that every time she tried to take his temperature, he would jokingly bend over. It's good to know that even he acknowledges that sometimes he's not sure which end he's talking from. Elon Musk's 76-year-old dad, Errol, has confirmed he's had a baby with one of his son's ex-girlfriends, taking his total number of offspring to 7. Closely following that revelation, the father of the world's richest man said he wasn't proud of Elon and suggested he was too fat.
This is the real answer, I think. He had a baby with his stepdaughter, the old Woody Allen method. So this girl he'd raised her since she was a child. It's really kind of creepy.
Well, I can tell you that is the correct answer. The real story is that Elon's dad, Errol, has now confirmed that he has 2 children with his stepdaughter, not Elon's ex, making them his step-niece, nephews and half-siblings, otherwise known as the Cornish side of the family.
Which is less morally dubious? Your son's ex-girlfriend or your stepdaughter?
Probably stepdaughter, Josh.
It's not illegal, but it's not good parenting.
Weekday afternoons on GB News, we've got the whole of the UK covered. From 12 to 3, it's GB News Day with me, Mark Longhurst.
And me, Gloria Di Piero. You'll get the very latest on everything that's been going on across our great nation.
And from 3 till 6, watch out for GB News Live with me, Patrick Christys. I'm not here to mess around with all the biggest topics and guests. You will always be up to date. GB News Day and GB News Live from 12 p.m.
Only on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and tune-in apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch.
You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
Hello, I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m, where I'll be joined by 2 of the country's top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News Headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
On Mark Dolan tonight, in My Big Opinion, the siren voices calling for more ruinous COVID measures are back. My message to these fanatics is a clear one: just say no. Why is Jimmy Carr being sued in court by his own father? And is Joe Biden risking World War III? Plus, US showbiz news live from Hollywood with Kinsey Schofield. And in my take at 10, as white students in London are banned from Black History Month, let me tell you, racism does not fix racism, and 2 wrongs don't make a right. See you at 9.
Welcome back to Ministry of Offence, in a week where we found out that rumours that Boris had been trying to give Carrie a job in a government office may not have been entirely true. If anything, she was the one giving him a job in the office. We're still here with Leo Kearse, Radu Isaac, Diane Spencer and Eddie Brimson, and it's time for our next round, Anti-Social Media. Yes, this is Anti-Social Media, in which we look at online reactions to the events of the week, and there is no bigger news story than the demise of Boris. So we're asking our panellists to name the authors of these tweets. OK, this is for both sides to guess. Here's your first one. I resign as Boris's impersonator. Who's that by?
Did Keir Starmer?
Any other ideas?
Michael Fabricant, the one who has, like, the Vileda mop hair?
Yes, not though. No. OK, here's your next one. I know that guy. I'm telling you, he doesn't think it's over. He's thinking there's a war. Weird happens in a war. Play for time. Play for time. I can still get out of this. I got a mandate. Members love me. Get to September. If MPs leave him in situ, there'll be carnage.
Sounds like a grime artist.
That's just the way I delivered it.
You did well, mate.
Any chance it's Kerry Johnson?
No.
Just because she didn't get a job and now she's just covering her own bum.
OK, this is for both sides to guess. Here's your first one. Blank wants to captain the ship. The ship is the Titanic. What do you reckon that was?
Is it the captain of the Titanic? And this tweet was actually sent before the Titanic launched.
Is it Jacob Rees-Mogg?
No, afraid not.
Do we have to guess from the current Tory candidates? Can we guess from anyone?
Yes.
Who is it?
Well, it's got to be Penny Mordaunt because she was a former military, and so it's about ships.
OK, well, let's see if you're right.
Oh, well done.
Yep, it's Penny Mordaunt. OK, here's your next one. The thing that surprises me most about blank blank is that I didn't even know that Tolkien characters were eligible to become the British Prime Minister. Oh, everyone's in on this.
Rishi Sunak, he's tiny. I met him, he's tiny.
He's like a hobbit, yeah.
He lives in a little shoebox.
The thing about Rishi,
lure him out with a bit of cheese.
Yeah, I think Leo's been a bit heightist as one because Leo's like circus freak tall, but Rishi, it's not just that he's small in height; he's just miniature in all dimensions, isn't it? It looks like he's far away.
He's shrunk down, and that's how he can stab people in the back so well. They don't realise he's getting in behind them till it's too late.
Yeah, any thoughts over here?
It's got to be Jacob Rees-Mogg. Sort of as a sort of, you must go back to work. Get back to your desk.
I think it's Tom Tuggenholt.
Doing what, sorry?
Tuggenhat.
Tuggenhat. I think it's Tom Tuggenhat because that is blatantly a hobbit's name.
Let's take a look.
Hey! Yes! Very good.
This week, our tweets are in honour of Rishi Sunak's campaign poster, which unforgivably misspelled the word campaign. Someone had one job. So we thought we should trawl through the internet and find our favourite celebrity typos. Here is your first one. It's unacceptable. There's a loophole allowing paedophile training manuals. That's why I want to protect children by blank. What do you think Cameron was saying there?
Protect children by my house. By the power of Grayskull.
That'd be a great typo, wouldn't it? Going for something else and it also corrects to that. Anyone else got any ideas what you think it might be?
By having sex with more pigs.
How old was that pig, though? Unless pigs age in like different years, like humans do. I don't think that pig was 18 years old or had ID.
Is it something like Child Protection Service, but instead he's put Child Potential Service?
I can reveal this one. Let's see what the answer is. David Cameron with terrible grammar suggesting making children illegal. Not necessarily a bad idea. OK, here's your next one. Sad to hear that Bob Holness has died. A generation will remember him fondly from blank.
Why have you got my picture up there?
If you ever want to know the difference between Ed Miliband and Jonathan, Jonathan is marginally more likely to be leader of this country.
Well, Bob Holness was known for blockbusters, so I could only assume he's misspelt that.
Well, let's see what it was.
No way!
Blackbusters!
I was gonna...
Oh, wow!
Ed remembers him fondly from Blackbusters.
Yeah, that's a more racist version of Ghostbusters that was made.
Who are you going to call? Not the police.
OK, here's your next one. Congratulations, blank, on your hashtag Nobel Peace Prize, hashtag 2014, with lots of random hashtags.
Colonel Gaddafi?
I think it was like Obama got it, right? And then was it Osama? That's the classical.
That would be, yeah.
I know who got it. It was Malala. So I think she's put something like Mana.
I mean, you're right about who won it. Now we're just trying to work out the typo.
Oh.
Oh, llama?
No.
Oh, no.
La Mama.
Melanoma.
No, you're getting closer, though.
Melania.
No. Ma mama. Mo mana. La manama.
I would love to see how the subtitle people cope with this. Let's find out the correct answer. Naomi Campbell. Malaria instead of Malala. So here's your next one. China steals United States Navy research drone in international waters, rips it out of water and takes it to China in blank act.
This is clearly going to be like terrorist, but it's Trump, so it's going to be like, rips it out of the water and takes it in a tourism act.
It's not that one, but it's, yeah, that neck of the woods.
Could it be on the same vein? Could it be a terrific act?
Is it aggressive? But he's, again, his phone's just autocorrect, so it's like, rips it out of water and takes it to China in an agoraphobic act.
No. I'm loving this impression, by the way.
It's like he's in the room.
No, I'm going to have to give you this one. It's a difficult one, this one. The correct answer is it's Donald Trump accusing China of unprecedented behaviour. Which is ironic, because that's what happened to him himself.
Yeah, wait till 2024, Steve.
I will do, yeah. This is my plan. To keep living. OK, on to your next one. I'm ready to blank from day one.
Is it...
That like Liz Truss's Tinder.
Is it sell the NHS?
I know what this one is. I'm ready to hit the ground from day one.
Let's take a look. Yep. Liz Truss offering to hit the ground if she gets the job. Just teach it a lesson.
Didn't someone hit the ground in her debate?
I'll be asking rapid-fire questions.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's weather, and the UK's looking dry and clear in the southeast at first on Sunday, but cloudier and windy further northwest. Let's take a look at the details. East and northeast Scotland will have some clear intervals to start the day, but further west it'll be cloudy and very windy with rain just beginning to arrive from the Atlantic. Northern Ireland will still be dry at this point, although here there'll be a lot of cloud around and a strengthening southerly wind. Cumbria will be fairly cloudy, but elsewhere across the north of England it'll be fine with clear spells, albeit pretty breezy. Patchy cloud and a brisk southerly breeze will affect North Wales. However, it'll be a dry start across the country with some bright spells, and the wind will prevent temperatures dipping too low. Across the Midlands, there'll be some more prolonged clear periods to start the day on Sunday, and as the wind will be a little bit lighter, patches of mist and localised frost are possible. Clear skies and light winds will be the order of the day for East Anglia, but here too the lack of cloud means it'll be a nippy start for many. These clear, fairly calm but rather chilly conditions will also be prevalent across southern counties of England, all courtesy of high pressure sitting nearby maintaining the settled weather. Through Sunday morning, England and Wales will be dry and bright, but wet and windy weather will sweep into much of the northwest. That's how the weather's shaping up during tomorrow morning.
Keep living. OK, on to your next one. I'm ready to blank from day one.
Is it...
That like Liz Truss's Tinder.
Is it sell the NHS?
I know what this one is. I'm ready to hit the ground from day one.
Let's take a look. Yep. Liz Truss offering to hit the ground if she gets the job. Just teach it a lesson.
Didn't someone hit the ground in her debate?
I'll be asking rapid-fire questions based on all of the news of the week. Our teams will have to buzz in to be the fastest to answer to gain the point, so fingers on buzzers. What did a vegan activist do to get the sack from her job as a veterinary nurse?
She was too weak to carry the animals, so she had to put them down.
Trained all the parrots to go, meat is murder.
Did she go on about it?
No, she hid a turkey. She hid a turkey that had been liberated in her shared accommodation at the Royal Veterinary College, where she wasn't allowed pets. So that was the problem. Doing what with a dog can land you a £5,000 fine. Or after. Yep.
Hiding it in your room at the Royal College of Veterinary.
Is it lowering it slowly on a rope into a high-end jewellery store to avoid capturing the infrared detectors?
Driving with a dog unrestrained in a car. That's what you're not allowed to do.
Wow.
Name one item discovered at a mass Anglo-Saxon grave uncovered in Buckinghamshire.
A dead Anglo-Saxon.
What has a Manchester man tattooed on his feet to save money?
Shoes, or smart shoes, or trainers or something, so it looks like he's wearing shoes so he can go into a nightclub?
Yep, he's had a pair of trainers tattooed so he doesn't have to buy new shoes. Genius. This guy is one condom tattoo away from never having to worry about kids. What is the Queen's favourite takeaway?
Friends can get you through a tough time. That's a takeaway from the Care Bears movie.
It's not what's on the card.
The Queen doesn't get takeaway. She's got chefs and stuff. She's not going to go like the Uber's going to rock up. And she'll be like, oh, let me just find some change.
I'd love that though, wouldn't you? She's like, have you got the burrito in there? This is the wrong drink. They bought the wrong drink. Charles, are you all right with 7-Up?
What has a Cornish secondary school recently banned its students from doing on school premises?
Putting cream before jam on scones.
Oh, so close. Wearing skirts in a bid to make the uniform more gender neutral and combat inequality. According to scientists, what can keep you hay fever free?
Not going near any hay.
The correct answer is having sex. These scientists say that having sex can help you hay fever. According to a scientist with probably a wife with hay fever. What's unique about North Korea's new foreign minister?
He's from Bournemouth.
No. Any more?
It's Donald Trump. He's on the run.
No, it's a woman.
Ooh.
That's close enough. Yeah, Kim Jong-un has appointed the country's first female foreign minister who speaks English.
Oh.
That's not to do with being a woman.
Is it not? But you're a woman and you can speak English, so...
Oh, yeah, silly me.
And that's the end of the quickfire round. And the winners are the blue team. And that means, sadly, we've also reached the end of the show. Congratulations to our winning team, the Blues. To the winners, your prize, a job as the Prime Minister's new ethics advisor. And to the losers, you won't be going away empty-handed. Wait, I'm just being told. It seems that the winners have just resigned as the Prime Minister's ethics advisor. So congratulations, you're the new Prime Minister's ethics advisor. Sorry about that. Thanks to our team captains, Leo Kirst and Diane Spencer. And to our guests this week, Andrew Doyle and Josh Howie.
Weekday afternoons on GB News, we've got the whole of the UK covered. From 12 to 3, it's GB News Day with me, Mark Longhurst.
And me, Gloria Di Piero. You'll get the very latest on everything that's been going on across our great nation.
And from 3 till 6, watch out for GB News Live with me, Patrick Christys. I'm not here to mess around with all the biggest topics and guests. You will always be up to date. GB News Day and GB News Live from 12 p.m.
Only on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch.
You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
Hello, I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m, where I'll be joined by two of the country's top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News Headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
Good evening. On Mark Dolan tonight, in my big opinion, the siren voices calling for more ruinous COVID restrictions are back. My message to these fanatics is a clear one. Just say no. Why is Jimmy Carr being sued in court by his own father? And is Joe Biden risking World War III? Plus, US showbiz news live from Hollywood with Kinsey Schofield, and in my take at 10. As white students in London are banned from Black History Month, let me tell you, racism does not fix racism, and two wrongs don't make a right. Plus my all-star panel and tomorrow's papers. Also, as a Man City wag criticises UK cuisine, I'm asking, is British food substandard? I'd love you to send me pictures of your dinner. Mark at gbnews.uk and we'll feature your dinners and we'll rate your plate at 9:20. A busy show. See you after the headlines with Rhiannon Jones.
Thank you, Mark. Your top stories from the GB Newsroom. Irish Premier Michael Martin has said it's a very sad day for Chrysler following an explosion at a petrol station. The Taoiseach visited the scene in County Donegal along with other Irish political leaders earlier this evening. 10 people were killed in yesterday's blast, including 2 teenagers and a young schoolgirl. Police in Ireland say the search operation has now ended, but they will continue with their investigation. Former Deputy Leader of the DUP, Lord Nigel Dodds, has called the incident horrendous.
Every one of us can relate to calling into a filling station or wanting to call in and get some groceries or a snack or something, and to be caught up in something like this is just horrendous. And when you hear those who've died include men, women, teenagers, a young child, it really is awful. Our hearts and prayers are with the bereaved of those who have lost their lives, and obviously hope and pray that those that have been injured make a swift recovery.
The former Trade Minister has said he's looking forward to clearing his name following allegations of inappropriate behaviour. Conor Burns was sacked from the government after a complaint of serious misconduct. He's reiterated he will cooperate fully with the investigation and that he's committed to public services.
The last 24 hours have been distressing and devastating. I've still not had any information from the party of the nature of the complaint. I say, as I said in my statement, that I will cooperate fully with the party when they engage with me, and I look forward to clearing my name. I can't say anything more, I'm sorry, at this time.
Serial killer Peter Tobin has died at the age of 76 after becoming unwell in prison. He was taken to hospital from HMP Edinburgh, where he was serving 3 life sentences for the rape and murder of Polish student Angelika Kluk and the murders of teenagers Vicky Hamilton and Dinah McNichol in 1991. Detectives questioned Tobin on his deathbed about other murders they believe he may have committed, but he refused to give any details. A large explosion has seriously damaged the only road and rail bridge linking the occupied Crimean Peninsula to Russia. Russian authorities say 3 people have died in the blast on Kerch Bridge, which is crucial to supplying the peninsula and Russian forces across Ukraine. Moscow says the train line has now reopened. It's not yet clear if it was a deliberate attack from Ukraine. And only around 1 in 5 trains have been running today across Scotland, England and Wales. Members of the RMT union are staging their 8th strike this year in a long-running dispute over pay and conditions. Tomorrow, around half of the UK railway network will be closed, and those trains that are running will only operate from 7:30 in the morning until 6:30 in the evening. TV online and DAB Plus radio, this is GB News. Now it's back to the largely humorous Mark Dolan with Tonight.
I do my best. Many thanks to Rhiannon, who returns in an hour's time. Welcome to Mark Dolan Tonight. In the news agenda with my panel, is Joe Biden risking World War III with his increasingly inflammatory language? Also, does the court action by Elton John and the Sussexes risk the future of the Daily Mail newspaper? And will that slap prevent Will Smith from winning another Oscar? Also, as a Man City wag criticises UK cuisine, I'm asking in the big question, is British food substandard? I'd love you to send me pictures of your dinner if you haven't already had it. mark@gbnews.uk and we will rate your plate. And with me throughout the show is my fantastic panel reacting to the big stories of the day. TV personality Ingrid Tarrant. Dish of the day, talking about lovely dinners, research analyst, writer and broadcaster Dr. Rakib Ehsan. And what can you say about soap icon, author and presenter Daniela Westbrook? Plus, we head to Hollywood, California, and the queen of US showbiz and political reporting, Kinsey Schofield. And I want to hear from you throughout the show. The highlight of my programme is when you get in touch. You know how much I love getting your emails. Now, this show has a golden rule. We don't do boring, not on my watch. I just won't have it. So for the next 2 hours, big debates, big guests, and always big opinions. Let's start with this one. We might be in the middle of an economic crisis. The world might be held to ransom by Vladimir Putin and his illegal invasion of Ukraine. And hard-pressed Brits may well be going through cost of living hell as mortgage rates rise and, thanks to inflation, pay packets dwindle. So we've got a few problems. But that's not enough to silence COVID zealots, hell-bent on more restrictions this winter. That's right, folks, the COVID industry, for that's what it is, ramps up the fear-mongering for another season of mask mandates, social distancing rules and vaccine tyranny. And who better to kick off this season of needless fear-mongering than the state broadcaster itself, the BBC. A service so good you risk jail if you don't pay for it. The Beeb's obsession with COVID at the expense of everything else was pointed out by former ONS statistician Jamie Jenkins this week. He tweeted, "A rise in COVID cases and Hugh Pym at the BBC is all over it for the main news bulletin, even when there's little impact on serious illness for the majority. Excess deaths for months for non-COVID reasons in under 60s and nothing on main news that I've seen. Selective BBC reporting, just shocking." Isn't it wonderful that we're paying through the nose 160 quid a year for this mental torture? And powerful groups like Independent Sage, who are the sectarian wing of Normal Sage, will stop at nothing until we're all masked, working from home, socially distanced, sanitised and freshly jabbed. At this point, hearing these siren voices calling for more restrictions is just a sick joke, given the damage these people have inflicted on our country. 2.5 years of experimental lockdowns that show no discernible benefit to countries and regions that stayed open and carried on as normal. We borrowed £500 billion to pay perfectly healthy people to stay at home, and we closed once viable businesses. all at the behest of those who thought you could control a seasonal respiratory virus. Well, the data's in, the numbers are there for all to see, and the graphs are clear. Stop it, we did not. Can you imagine if we had more economy-destroying measures in the months to come? We're surely just a couple of lockdowns away from being so broke as a country, we'll be deciding which of our firstborn children to eat first. Hearing from these destructive voices again, who should be hanging their heads in shame, is like the sound of your abuser once again knocking on the bedroom door. Forget about zero COVID. It's my view that there should be zero measures ever again. We spent 2.5 years protecting the NHS, who decided to focus almost exclusively on one disease, which is why we've got a waiting list of up to 12 million people, many suffering far more serious illnesses, like cancer, bipolar disorder and diabetes, and they're all waiting for treatment. Environmentally catastrophic masks remain woefully unconvincing in relation to real-world data. Just compare countries that masked up and those that didn't. States in America that masked up and those that didn't. Show me how those filthy rags in any way moved the dial. They did not. Those masks are already back in hospitals, and here's what top cancer professor Carol Sikora had to say about them when I spoke to him on Thursday. Here's a question for you, Carol. Do masks make a blind bit of difference, especially those very cheap, flimsy surgical masks which are handed out at the entrance to hospitals?
Absolutely not. They make no difference at all.
But mark my words, the mask mandates will return. Economically damaging work-from-home directives will kick in, and vaccine tyranny will no doubt rear its ugly head. Although it's hard to sell now, given that Denmark have effectively banned the vaccine for anyone under 50. You've got to have a doctor's note and evidence of a serious medical condition to get a booster. And Norway have done the same for the under 65s. If you're under 65 in Norway, you will not be able to get boosted. Now, why would that be? I wonder if the Norwegians and the Danes are concerned about both the efficacy of the vaccine, in other words, if it works, and, dare I say it, the safety. Perhaps they've been looking at a report published in The Lancet from the University of Oxford, suggesting the vaccinated are 44% more likely to get COVID. Get jabbed to get the disease. That is some vaccine, isn't it? Perhaps the authorities in Denmark and Norway have been listening to Florida's highly impressive Surgeon General, Dr. Joseph A. Lapardo. Now, this guy is not a crank. He's not a journalist or a blogger spreading misinformation from his mum's bedroom. This is the Surgeon General of Florida, the state's top medic, who has now recommended against men aged 18 to 39 from receiving mRNA COVID-19 vaccines due to an 84% increase in heart-related death within 28 days of the jab. Oh dear, the house of cards is tumbling. 84% increase in heart-related death within 28 days of the jab. That is what I call a pandemic of the vaccinated. Meanwhile, Pfizer have partnered with Marvel Comics, urging readers to get the jab. This specially commissioned new comic is called Everyday Heroes, but which strikes me as a dystopian nightmare. This creepy level of brainwashing would make Chairman Mao proud. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the vaccine is fabulous for those at risk of hospitalisation and death. If you're in a vulnerable group, it's my view, you'd be mad not to have it. If I was at risk of hospitalisation or death from the virus, I'd have more holes in my arm than Pete Doherty in his prime. But I don't see any argument as to why we should be jabbing healthy people this winter, particularly children and young people. Which is now the view of Denmark, Norway, and news just in, the Australians as well, as revealed by US journalist Alex Berenson. And he's gone into detail here. Australia, one of the most jab-happy countries in the world, who have been drinking the zero-COVID Kool-Aid for 2 years, they've stopped offering the vaccine to under 50s. Now, was any of this reported on the Beeb? Good luck with that. Now, perhaps I'm putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5, but it looks to me like these countries, Denmark, Norway, and even Australia, are running for the hills. It's my instinct that a day of reckoning in regard to the vaccines is coming, and I can't wait. I'll be bringing my popcorn. So it's my view that the COVID zealots were wrong on lockdowns, wrong on masks, wrong on social distancing, and yes, wrong on vaccine tyranny. Which is why I don't want to hear from any of those people again this winter. Sadly, COVID is going nowhere and is now a permanent threat and will place pressure on the NHS forevermore. Virus gonna virus. But pharmaceutical companies, the media and the political elite have created what is now a COVID industry, a cash-hungry machine fueled by fear for a potentially nasty virus, absolutely, but a virus which poses a vanishing threat to almost everyone. It's time to live with this virus as we do with all others and push back on any measures that threaten the economy, children's education, our mental and physical well-being, our freedoms and our way of life. For those calling for more measures which have already broken our country and broken our society, just say no. Now, where's that popcorn? Many thanks to producer Abby for popping to M&S to get this rather premium salted popcorn. There you go. Look, I'd love to see pictures of your dinner later in the show because let me tell you that a football wag, that is somebody married to a famous footballer, a Man City player, said this week that British food is pretty wretched, it's below par. She was very critical of restaurants in Manchester. But what do you think about the British national cuisine? Does it work? Is it good? Let me know, mark@gbnews.uk. And why don't you send in pictures of your dinner? I'd love to see it. We'll rate your plate at 9:20. Well, look, what's your reaction to my big opinion monologue? I believe that these siren voices calling for more COVID restrictions must be silenced. But let me know your thoughts, mark@gbnews.uk. Let's get the opinions now of my all-star panel, including TV personality Ingrid Tarrant, research analyst, writer and broadcaster Dr. Rakib Ehsan, and soap icon, author and presenter Daniela Westbrook. Now, Rakib, it's great to have you on the show. I think you're a little more pro some COVID measures than I've been in the past, but what's your view about this winter?
Well, this winter, Mark, I have to say that we have to say no to lockdowns. That's my view. I think that when we're looking at the current economic situation with the cost of living crisis, I don't think our economy can possibly deal with more lockdowns. And as you said there, we have to acknowledge the side effects of COVID-19 related lockdowns. You talked a great deal about mental and physical well-being. I have a counter-extremism background. There's many people in that particular community, that research community, that were worried about online radicalisation because of the social isolation that comes with lockdowns. We also have to think about the education of our youngest sections of the population. I've been seeing some very troubling figures when it comes to children having to undertake language therapy because of the lack of social interaction as a result of the lockdowns. So I think all in all, Mark, I think because of what we've learnt in terms of the negative impact of lockdowns, we have to just live with the virus. We have to take on individual and family-related responsibility and say that no to lockdowns, even if the COVID-19 rates of infection do increase in winter.
However, Daniela Westbrook, great to have you back on the show. Plenty of medics, plenty of scientists, and actually plenty of viewers watching this programme will take the view that if this winter cases rise, hospitals start to fill up, there will be pressure to do something. And the argument will be that you wear a mask, it's not too much to ask, you make sure that you're boosted in terms of the vaccine, and you socially distance. Why? To save lives. Who can argue with that?
Well, I just seem to think it was only a few months back we sat here on the same sofa talking about how important it was that we start getting away and like using planes and, you know, going on holiday again and doing stuff like that and being more, you know, connected with people. Now all of a sudden we all want to have to stay at home and be locked down and that. It just doesn't make sense. It's all about the economy. It's not really ever about any of our health, is it? You know, really and truthfully, it's just about money a lot of the time. And that's what really annoys me more than anything, I have to say.
And why is that? Why does the focus on the economy bother you, Daniela?
Because it should. They should just be honest and say, this is the reason why we messed up with these different situations, you know, and all of the time it's us that are paying for it. You know, it's people that we can't see our loved ones every time it goes into a lockdown. Someone dies or something, you know, people are left on their own. There's so many people at the moment taking their own lives down to mental health with the pressure and the strain of what could happen going towards Christmas with a financial crisis coming on board. You know, there's a lot of people that are failing already that there's no help for these people. And now they're pushing this out again. It's wrong to do that to people. It's wrong information.
Daniela, would you be willing to wear a mask if another mandate happened?
Well, obviously you do what you have to do. You know, my dad's in a home, he's got dementia, he's a high-risk person. We've all got family members and things. You do what you have to do, but I'm not going to be sat at home not seeing my family if they're sick and everything again, while everyone else is out doing whatever they want. While they're keeping us in our houses and whacking the heating prices up because we've got to be using our electric and gas because we're sitting indoors and none of us can afford to go to work to pay for it. You know, if they're not strangling us one way, they're getting us another, and I just think people need to rise up and start doing something about it.
Daniela, does that mean that you would potentially wear a mask if there was a mask mandate, but you would not adhere to other rules?
No, it's not that I wouldn't adhere to other rules. I was just like, it just becomes a little bit like you have to sort of... It's a little bit like picking your battles, isn't it, at times? It's like, you know, you say to your kids, pick your battles. It's like when you look at the government and what we've been through the last year, you know, even the Queen sat there and buried her husband, you know, with social distancing. But yet nobody else in number 10 was doing that. And so many people up and down the country lost people and, you know, lost their businesses, lost things, all down sitting at home listening to what's being told. I think it's not that I wouldn't adhere to certain things. Of course I would. But sometimes you have to put your family first this time round, I think.
Ingrid Tarrant, the siren voices calling for more COVID measures this winter are back. Should they be heard?
No. It's seasonal flu. I mean, I think we've just got to get this in perspective. We've talked about living with COVID. It's SARS-based, it's flu-based. You know, there are going to be deaths, and there's always excessive deaths in the wintertime through seasonal flu amongst the elderly or the vulnerable, that are weaker, that are likely to be infected by this. Also, the other thing, I mean, I'm kind of... so much is swimming around my head. During this time, these last 2.5 years, we've been in lockdown and we haven't gone out, and we've sterilised our homes. Everything's been sterilised, so we haven't been actually exposed to the normal diseases and little bugs that we would on a day-to-day basis. So a lot of people's immune system is quite compromised anyway. So they're going to be more vulnerable. I'm just talking in the natural things. Forget the vaccine at this point. Just day-to-day living and the immunity that we build up without even realising it. So it stands to reason in my little mind that people will be getting flus and other little bugs more readily than they would have been if they hadn't have been in this sterilised state that we've been in. So I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it.
OK. Rakib, will you get a booster when it becomes available? You're certainly under 50. You're in very good physical condition. I assume you're triple jabbed already. Would you go for number 4?
I'll be honest, Mark. I think that we have to move towards just... as opposed to being dependent on vaccines, I think that we just need to talk about building one's natural health. And I think that that was another problem, that over the course of the pandemic, there were gym closures, fitness centres were closed, when actually what we could have done is promote enhancing one's own fitness and well-being in that sense, physical well-being, because in that sense you build your own natural resilience against the virus.
Yes, well, look, lots of thoughts flying around. What's your opinion? Would you accept COVID measures going into winter as cases rise, or is it time to draw a line under this virus? All opinions are welcome. This programme is the home of free speech, and it's a broad church. So let me know your thoughts, Mark, at gbnews.uk. Lots more to come. In the news agenda with my panel, is Joe Biden risking World War III with his recent inflammatory remarks about Russia? Also, does the court action by Elton John and the Sussexes risk the future of the Daily Mail? And after reports that Jimmy Carr's father is set to take him to court, is it wrong to sue a family member? But next, in the big question, is British food substandard? Get the kettle on and I'll see you in 2.
Weekday afternoons on GB News, we've got the whole of the UK covered. From 12 to 3, it's GB News Day with me, Mark Longhurst.
And me, Gloria Di Piero. You'll get the very latest on everything that's been going on across our great nation.
And from 3 till 6, watch out for GB News Live with me, Patrick Christys. I'm not here to mess around with all the biggest topics and guests. You will always be up to date. GB News Day and GB News Live from 12 p.m.
Only on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch.
You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me! And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
Hello, I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m, where I'll be joined by two of the country's top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News Headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
You're sending me lots of pictures of your dinner tonight because a wag, a footballer's wife married to a Man City star, has said that British food is not great.